Yeah, mama. Yeah, yeah, come on. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, mama. Yeah, yeah, come on. Yeah, yeah. Hello, 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 hello. Good evening, everybody. I don't know if there's anybody that's as excited as I am this evening.
I can see the excitement even on your lips.
I am so excited. The Yorubas have a proverb that say that Egunla ni kẹ́yìn ìgbàlẹ̀. You don't understand it. That is the big masquerade that comes, that finishes the thing. Something like that. So I'm excited to be here, and I am so expectant of what we are going to do this evening. So I want to say welcome to everyone in the room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Tonight is going to be a full package. And so I'm just going to advise that you stay tuned and just stay glued to your screen, because every second is going to be worth the while. So, officially, let me calm down. Dima has told me earlier that calm down, calm down. So let me calm down. Okay. You're welcome to the final lap of TeamDinmaNedum Love-A-Thon. And if you have not been part of the journey so far, I'm sorry. I don't know how I can help you, because you have been missing a whole lot. Where have you been, really? Where have you been? So I think in their generosity, they may consider you and see how you can have access to the previous 3 sessions. And I can assure you that they were really, really loaded. But I also think that if you registered and you missed any of the sessions, there is information that all you need to do is check your mail and the link to the sessions will be sent to your mail. Aren't you glad? That's just free like that. Anyway, this Love-A-Thon themed extraordinary togetherness has been put together to celebrate the TeamDinmaNedum 20th wedding anniversary. 20, as in 20. No be beans. In another clime, these people should be grandparents. Anyway, but we are in Africa, so we are in Nigeria, so we can permit them, because right now somebody should be saying grandpa, grandma, but then it's okay. Anyway, so we have heard this throughout the month of July, and today is the final lap. And let me say again, the wealth of information that has been rolled out this month has been great, and the impact has been huge. So I'm too sure that if you have been part of it, you will know what I'm talking about. And if you have not been part of it, if you watch them, you will know that these are things that people pay for to get. So in July 1st, for example, we looked at extraordinary togetherness, intentionality, the key to 20 years of bliss. The Nedum sharing their story. And then July 8th, we looked at Stronger Together, a team-centered marriage. July 15th, we looked at Fighting Together, and then Weathering the Storms. Last week, we considered Extraordinary Connection, and that is nurturing friendship and intimacy. And today, if you don't understand Yoruba, I said is a big masquerade that finishes it. I have a big masquerade in the room. So today, because the TeamDinmaNedum are intentionally like that, and they are aware that we are in the jackpot season in Nigeria, we will be discussing Till Together, Wisdom for Living Apart. So I know there will be, the same way we say there are intending couples and married couples, I know there are intending jackpot people. So this is a class for you, a master class for you from somebody who is a veteran and who has been there to give you the tools and equip you with stuff that you will need to navigate that season of your union. So get your questions ready. It's going to be a loaded package. It's going to be a loaded package. So without much ado, I'm going to welcome TeamDinmaNedum for their welcome address on the topic. And then afterwards, I will introduce our guests. So let me be the first person globally to wish them happy 20th wedding anniversary. Other people have been wishing them locally, but this is online now. You don't know, somebody's in Australia, somebody's in Japan. So globally, happy 20th wedding anniversary, TeamDinmaNedum. You guys look good. You look like teenagers yourself. So happy wedding anniversary. Happy 20th. You're welcome. Over to you.
All right, thank you, Juma, for that great introduction. Good evening. We're in Nigeria, so it's good evening from this end. And we welcome you to, like Juma said, the grand finale of our 20th wedding anniversary Love-A-Thon. We thank everyone who is here. Most of us, I can see the attendees, most people have kept a date from day one to today. Even if you're joining us for the first time today, you're well appreciated. Thank you for celebrating with us and being here to share our story with us. So tonight, we will be talking about Still Together, Wisdom for Living Apart. And I'm going to start by saying that the most we have lived apart is a month. 1 month. And so I will not consider us as experientially qualified to talk about wisdom for living apart. But like Juma said, we have a team that have lived this way, and they can share not only from learned research, but from their lived experience, because that also will be impactful, all right? And so please just stay on. If you have your questions, like Juwon said, use the Q&A button to drop your questions. You could also ask your questions anonymously because there's a provision for that. So if you have some questions, you don't want it to be tagged to your name, hey, it can also be done anonymously. So on that note, I want to say thank you, welcome, and Juwon, sorry for you. You are not the first person to have wished us an online anniversary, because if you consider WhatsApp online, then we've been getting all of that, Facebook and all that. So you are late on this one, but your congratulatory message is well received. So what's our perspective on wisdom for living apart? Even though we have only lived apart for 1 month, I'll be inviting my sweetheart, my best friend, my most favorite person, my partner in crime and bliss, to share our perspective on that before we get our guest on.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Juwon, for that wonderful introduction. And we really bless God as we are wrapping up the 5th day of this Love-A-Thon. And the topic today is Still Together, Wisdom for Living Apart. Like Dima shared, we have been apart for not more than 1 month at a particular time. And like she said, we are not deeply experienced in that area. But however, I still believe, and we strongly believe, that marriages can enjoy the best of their relationship when couples are living together. However, also evidences have proved that certain kind of professions, circumstances, or career development or advancement sometimes do show up in relationship where a couple can live apart for a longer period of time and maybe sometime in the future be together to make that marriage work. However, we still also believe that living apart for a very long period of time do poses some kind of stress to the relationship. And that is so evident with the stories of the negative connotation that has been given to that, both home and abroad, and not just living apart in different countries or continents, but also living apart even in the same nation. That is also so evident. And however, I just want to share, even in the longest time we have been apart for 1 month, what are the things we're doing? Marriage did not stop because you are living apart. The relationship will not hold on because you are living apart. You won't say, since you are living apart, until you be together again, you can continue the relationship. And so even within that time for us, since we are sharing our own experience, there are certain about 5 points or key structures we put in place as a result of that time, especially whether it's a week or 2 weeks or that very 1 month. These are the things we do regularly. One of them is, one, we keep communicating, we keep talking, we keep sharing our feelings every day, minimum of every day, maybe for 1 hour or 2 hours, thereabout, depending on the time zones, but we make sure we talk every day and discuss the feelings and happenings of the day in order to catch up. And when you are doing this, this communication still build rapport and intimacy. And also in between the days, we use also God so kind, we are in the age of technology. So there's text message, there's WhatsApp, there's a video call, and all this kind of technology have aided the communication, which makes you keep in touch. Even when you are not able to spend basically 1 hour or 2 hours daily doing these conversations, in between the day, we have, you can send WhatsApp messages, text messages, expressing either how you feel or a communication to pass or how your day was. But the important thing is that the communications will be open and you catch up with every detail. And some people find it difficult to talk to their spouse for 2 hours every day on phone, or basically for 1 hour. Some just feel past the basic information, 5 minutes, we are done. But these things or communications especially with your loved one, can be developed over time. In fact, every detail of their life spent that day can use as a part of conversation. And even the little details can be part of, because you are apart during that time. And this helps you to catch up. If you have children, you can also discuss how the children are coping, what you felt about that day, the distresses, the anxiety, the challenge. So these are one of the things we do to always catch up when we are apart for a period of time. We also use that events to also talk about the children. If the children are around and they can talk or are awake during that particular time, we also put them on call. So we can have a conference call or a call whereby the children are at the phone, you talk to them because they are part of your life. You explain where you are, why you are still there, and when you will be coming back. And another beautiful thing is to give hope to your partner that in due time we'll be together, maybe next week, maybe next month, maybe in 6 months. So this creates an anticipation and a kind of waiting that this is not forever. It is just for a short time. And that short time could be 6 months. It could be 5 months. It could be 4 months. But once you have an anticipation that there's a season, there's a time where you can be together, that will help in a long way to keep you people hopeful, keep you resourceful, and also help you to, weather the storms of the emotions or whatever you are passing through that period of time. And for us, we have said this is not something we have a very experiential knowledge about it. So at this time, I think I will stop so that if Dima had anything to add to that, she can, and we continue from there. Thank you, everyone.
Like I said, the highest we've been apart is 1 month. And then, and even in that 1 month, it felt like it was too much. But then, that's the reality. I can also remember, so the perspective I want to share is talking about the openness of even the possibilities of living apart. Because I know that some of us who need to jabba, or some of us who are not living together, it's for a commonly agreed goal. So I'm going to be vulnerable here to share this. So Juwa was saying that we should have been grandparents by now, right? And I just smiled. But I remember when we were still having kids, and then exploring possibilities of, where to have the children and all of that. So looking at even going to have the children in the US so that they will be American citizens, in my brain then, because this is important, mindset is very key. So I'll use this and then the veterans will come and tell us. So in my brain then, I'm like, because of my kind of nature and my strengths, I'm somebody who gravitates towards connection. Love is my #1 strength. So I cherish closeness and connection. So I'm just rationalizing in my head, yes, so I know that they will get American citizenship, but we'll miss that moment. Like, we'll not be together when the child arrives. So all of those mindset and mentality was what I'm not traveling abroad. We're going to have it here. Are you coming with me? He said, no, you will go have the children. If you're not coming with me, let's have the children here. And now, as life continued, and some years we wanted to get visa to the US, and our first application for the children, they bounced it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is an opportunity we would have gotten if I was in the mood for the separation, even though it was going to be 1 month, 2 months, but I did allow myself to process that. Why am I sharing that? Is to say that mindset of holding on to the familiar, that mindset of doing what I am used to, is also some consequences why my children have to be queuing up to be looking for American visa. So what I'm saying technically is there is opportunity in every dynamics that your family wants to play. The important thing is, are you together, and what are the structures that you have to put in place? I have my own question for Team Fowo where I will be sharing it, and no, let me not share it anonymously, because one thing I want to know in this JAPA, how are they doing the Konji level? So I will pause now. Juwon will take over and we'll get right to having our guests on the same scene.
Why are you entering my
Hold
notes?
on, before you get on.
Down?
Okay, go ahead, Juwon, go ahead.
No, go on. Say what you want to say, please.
I don't want to say anything. Go ahead. I'm out of the stage.
I don't know whether Tifoe know what is about to happen to them this evening, because we are plenty that have questions. We are very, very plenty. In fact, I'm going to take notes for some people that are not here. So I hope they are prepared, but I trust my bros. I know he's ever ready. I think there's a battery they call ever ready. So anyway, let me introduce our guests. Team Fowe, they lead a team of the best family life researchers and family life practitioners in Africa. They are unconventional thinkers, futurists, and the lead researchers at the Institute of Family Engineering and Development. So Praise and his wife, Tosin, they are the premier creators of family systems engineering and several other groundbreaking family life interventions. He is an international acclaimed family life strategist with 18 years track record of transforming some of the most difficult families. He's also a member of Family Life Coaching Association USA and International Association of Marriage and Family Counselors, IMFC. This evening, it is my humble, utmost pleasure to introduce to you our guest speakers or our guest instructors or our guest teachers today. Team Fowe. Please, wherever you are, just put your hands together for my boss. And as you can see, since we are talking about JAPA, you know that the last 4 sessions we've had, the couples we have invited have been on the same screen. So this is evidence that what they are going to be sharing is real. So over to you, Team Fowe.
Congratulations to Dima and Nedum. They are, they are our friends. And, most times when people see Dima, they think Dima is my wife. They think because she looks like Tosin, they look alike. So there are people always saying, they are talking to Dima as Tosin, they are talking to Tosin as Dima, oftentimes like that. So we want to say congratulations. 20 years is not very easy in this age and time where marriages are collapsing in 2 minutes, after getting married. So I think I'm glad to be here with Tosin. She's somewhere. Where are you, Tosin? Sorry, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I'm here. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, she's in Niagara Falls, I think, right now. So they are dropping live without me. I'm working in America, right? But it's an important topic that I think we will take your questions, but I think I can speak for both of us. I remember when we getting married. I remember there was a book we had read together, Dele Jagbulu, that asked all kinds of questions, and we're answering those questions together, And one of the things I decided not to do was that I would not allow the basic things that stop men from allowing their wives become what they're supposed to be to stop my wife, and which included, oh, she's going to be cooking for you. So that was not even in contention from day one because she was a banker. And so I had to get into the kitchen, and I had to do that. And or she was, or you sex and all those kind of things. Right. So I remember getting married. I think we were less than 2 years when she went for her first master's. So were we 2 years, up to 2 years when you, okay, it was
3 years and 4 months.
3 years and 4 months when she went for her first master's in the UK, and that would be the first time we live apart. And it was pretty tough because it was the first time I was experiencing that. And so she was gone for 16 months, thereabout, or 14, 16 months, in which I think I did not get to see. So my son, David, was born. David was about 1 year old. So he spent some time with me, then moved over to stay with her in the UK. I did not get UK visa because the UK embassy, of course, they said I wasn't qualified based on what I was earning as at then. And so I was bounced, but Tosin got a visa as a student. My son was given a visa. Our mother was given a visa. I was not given. Well, I didn't apply with them, but when I applied, they didn't give me a shot. So I didn't see her, right? I was going to go mad. Honestly, I was going to go mad. I was driving around Lagos like a madman almost every time. I got myself busy. I started avoiding all kinds of people, And I remember that the day she left, it was almost like some of the babes eyeing me way back, they just went to announce to themselves, she has left Nigeria, And so I had to start escaping to my friend's house, Deolu. I'll go there, stay there till like 11 p.m., then drive back to my house and go sleep, and it was like that. And I literally overworked myself till I broke down, and she had to return. And I remember when she returned, we spent the next 1 year arguing over flimsy issues, things that didn't it make sense. It was almost as if we were no longer together, basically. And you know that when I have a problem, my wife would tell you, most of the solutions that they call family life solutions were solutions born out of, once I spot a family problem anywhere with anybody, with my clients or with me, I begin to research it. I begin to look for what's the best way. People must be going through this and how to solve it. So in my personal research, I realized that the person that left Nigeria was a Nigerian. The lady that returned back to me was a British person in a mentality and a worldview. So what was happening was a Nigerian was living with a British person. And so the worldview was totally different. So the moment I understood that, we started fresh and all. So, and we lived together ever since. And we've never, one of our values is freedom. And that freedom is, what has helped us to do a lot of things. For her to live a life, for me to live my life, for marriage not to withhold us from pursuing our dreams. My wife wants to be a professor. She's allowed to be, even though I've told her now that all the studies she has studied is enough now. Let them make money, right? But it's not, living apart is not something that I would recommend, especially if you have little children who are in their formative years. I think now it's a bit easier, even though it's still tough. It's easier because the children in their formative years, we were with them. And there were certain values that we wanted to live by as families that we really, really instilled. So by the time it was time for them to, I was in Nigeria, it was time for them to move to Canada. It was not so much of a problem or fear of, because some parents would say, oh, my children go to Canada, I started smoking and blah, 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 blah. The fundamental values were fully formed. So it wasn't going to be an issue. And my wife is a very hands-on, she's almost like the headmistress of the house, she will put everyone into shape, kind of, so it wasn't so much of a problem. Then also there was a support system in Canada, strong support system, as in strong. My wife has, what did you say?
I said very strong.
Very strong support system, as in, it's almost like she's living in a community of us folks in Canada where anybody can treat your mess up. If you're a child, all the children, anybody can, because they will tell you almost immediately, no, you can't do this. So, so there are fundamentals that I usually recommend for people to have in place before. So don't just wake up and say, I'm leaving. No, it might be very tough. But if you have a community so settling into Canada was pretty much easy because, she settled into our sister's place. for a while before she now got a place. For me, when I moved to the US, I settled into my cousin's place, before I went to get my place. Because the thing about Japa is, in case you don't know, the hand of the people you arrive into when you land will most likely determine your destiny if care is not taken. The kind of conversations they are having. So if there are people who say, you need to, things are tough, you need to combine 5 jobs, that will be your destiny. You will begin to combine 5 jobs, and then before you know it, the stories they're telling you, you'll be the next storyteller, right? And so when my wife moved to Canada, I had visiting visa, so I went to meet her for a holiday, and I remember some of the discussions we had about, now we are here, what are the things who are the people that you must go out to meet? Who are the people that you must be friends with? How must you begin to think now that you are here, and all those kind of things? And one of the things I quickly devised also was, because I remember when I was in Nigeria and they were in Canada, I started creating outlines because I didn't want just anybody to be teaching my children the word of God. So there were outlines I was sending to my wife. She would teach my children and their cousins, right? And then later that became, I created an entire curriculum, because David is pretty much 15 now, going to be 15. Imole is about 11, but Imole she's very outspoken, and she's a talker. She will, she's way mature than a literal age. So, and because there were fundamentals also that they had learned. For example, cooking. You can't live in our house, for example, and don't know how to cook. Cleaning the house. Things that other parents will complain about. My children are going to kill me. They don't wash plate. They don't do this. They don't do that. And I'm like, how do you have a 9-year-old and you are still cleaning for the 9-year-old? Even though my wife has the tendency, even if you hire all the house helps for my wife and they are with her, she still has the tendency to want to go and do all those things by herself, but because of the upbringing we've given the children, it's a bit easier. They are both independent minded, kind of, so they are not my daddy is not here, my mommy is not here, kind of, they can hold their own anywhere they find themselves and all right. And so I think that's what has helped us, but community is key. That's fundamental. 2 is your family system, very key. We were clear about our family vision, our family values, the DNA of our family. We had a family vision when we got married. It has changed a little bit because it's very funny. The children called us to a meeting and they were like, the one we created was before they were born, all right? That now they want to have input in the family vision. So we called the family meeting and, we began to troubleshoot what we had and our values. Then by that, it changed a little bit, right? And then we created some other things like the motto. We had the Latin, what they were looking for it. Then we knew exactly, okay, how should our kitchen be like? Even though we have not fully implemented that, what should our thinking be like, our education be like, and all those kind of things. They created it, but they have not met up with it. But we keep reminding them and all, right? And that's the kind of family we have. So your family system is very, very, very key. The rules, everybody knows the rules. For example, you cannot bring your food to certain areas in the family. It has to be, in the dining. And if you try to go against it, someone is going to call you to order. He's going to call you out literally. If you are about to violate that, someone will call you out, basically. So what has helped is now I'm in America, she's in Canada. It's about 2 hours flight, 2.5 hours flight from here to there, right? And so it's pretty much, I'm closer. And technology has helped, even though sometimes they seem to forget me here. Like I was telling my wife today that our brother is around, and so you had a lot of crowd. They are going to. I say, Tosi, you have forgotten me. What is happening today? Everybody has left me, because America can be very lonely, very, very lonely if you're by yourself. Sometimes you just want to have the children disturb you or your wife fight you. So the fight that my wife used to fight with me sometimes is now I miss it the most. Because sometimes I'm talking to myself inside my house. I'm like, let there be somebody who is even troubling me, who is poking fun at me, because she does that a lot. I mean, Tosin is a handful in the sense that if you serve food and she has her food, she has her meat, she has a habit of still coming to share from your own meat, and I'll just be looking at with one kind of eye.
Is that what they call love? I mean, what is your own? You see, the problem is when I disturb you now, you will complain. I'm not disturbing you. You are using phone to look for me up and down. You are using touchlight for me up and down. I don't understand.
Come and disturb me. Come and disturb me. I want to be disturbed. So she
package.
So she disturbs you a lot. So your system is very key, and and the third thing will be you need to trust. Right? You can't police everyone at every point in time. So if you can't trust, then you can't build any relationship. You just have to trust that things are going to go well, at the end of the day. Number 4, will be find a way to keep yourself sane, basically, because I know you're going to ask that question, sex and all. My wife is not your kind of person that likes phone sex or internet sex or all this kind of thing. And so you have to find a way. Now we talk once in a while, and I skipped Canada, but for me, because I'm the more expressive person these days, I think I'm getting really tired. What I do most of the time is I get myself busy, and in America, I've surrounded myself with a strong community. Number 1, I'm even far from everybody. Number 2, there's so much. So I am creating content on per second. So it's just literally shifting my energy away, from that into something, because there's so much at stake and there's a lot ahead that you have to worry about. In fact, you live in North America, when your bills, the way your bills eat you regularly, month end is here now. I know that what I have to send to Canada, I know what I have to spend in America, so when you have to think about your bills, it's enough to keep you in shape and for you to shape up to say any focus and things like that, But I was just saying that to say that you need to literally trust, and you need to keep yourself in order. Then the last thing I'll talk about is let the communication keep going. I am the talker outside, but I'm not the talker inside. Tosin is the talker inside, right? I'm not. I'm more quiet. I'm extroverted when I'm home, right? She's introverted at home. She's introverted outside. I'm extroverted outside because of my work. So my wife keeps every details of everything, and she carries me along. Even sometimes tiny things, basic things that I wish, Tosin, you don't need to tell me this one. I'm in the middle of work. She still wants to carry me along and feels I should know. Especially when the children disturb her. She knows when they hear my voice like this, they will shape up, so she'll just call me and say, hey, you need to talk to this, you need to talk to this, and she's got strong standards and all, but all in all, I will always say to people, before you step into a relationship, build friendship, build friendship, because friendship will sustain you, in difficult moments, and ensure that your family system is well built. Very, very critical. I mean, if you have that in place, you can almost go to bed, because there are soldiers who go to war, for 2 years, 3 years, they never see their family, and their families run. So the first option is to stay together. All right. We're going to start, we're working towards coming back together again. And, and I'm sure when we achieve that, there is no staying apart, forever and ever, it's never going to happen. Because
why are you opening eye? See how she's opening eye.
I hope you are not planning to go and do professorship, something that'll take you away from home.
It's going to be done wherever you are, but I still they go back to school.
Okay. Before you go back to school, just drop $1 billion in my account so that I can be watching TV when you're in school. Anyway, so let me allow Tosin talk.
Carry gun, give me. I'll give you 1 billion. She means 1 billion. Awesome. Too hard. It's not too hard. I just only Okay. Thank you very much for having us. Uncle Nedum and Dima, congratulations. God bless you. God bless your home. God bless your union. I'm super excited at what God is doing with your marriage and with your home. And I was super excited to see the YouTube channel come up. You guys are doing amazing things. You're doing great. God bless you. So living still together, living up, the wisdom for living apart. Praise has said everything, but I just wanted to add, briefly to it, and that is to say that when you make that decision to live apart. So for us, it was not just a process of, you know what, we are going. It was a discussion that had, climaxed to that point where we said, okay, it's time for you guys to move. There was, I think the first time that discussion came up was in 2015, our visit to the US. And when we started having that discussion, the outlook was not even to come to Canada, it was to go to the US. Then things started moving on in the direction of US, then it stalled. And when Praise got to that point where he said, you know what, it is now because of these reasons. Initially I didn't want to accept that it was now and all of those things. But eventually, when I had my own clarity, I said, okay, let's do this. When you both decide that you want to make a move like this, it looks like a simple thing to do. I know the first time we moved apart, I actually said 3 years and 4 months. It was actually 3 years. I remember that the day I left was the eve of Praise's birthday, which was September 15th, 2009. So it was eve of Praise's birthday. We were in my brother's house that night. And so we moved from my brother's house to the airport the next morning. There is this thing called, Praise had already talked about having friendship in your home, in your marriage. It is very, very key. And why that is key is because, you see, even when you are not physically apart, there are other things that also, starts coming apart as well. And one of those things that you don't want to happen is to be emotionally apart. You see, when you get to that point in your relationship, that you are physically apart, then you now start drawing emotionally apart, then your marriage is going to go through turbulent times. There is no way that it won't happen, because emotional connection is one of the biggest things that keeps marriages alive. And why do I say so? See, I am not physically with you, but if I'm still strongly connected to you, I have a friend. My friend was with Praise last week, BC. So BC was traveling. He didn't tell me he was going to the US, right? So I gave BC a call. BC just texted me and said, Tosi, you are doing it again. I said, what am I doing again? He said, this is the second or third time it's happening that I'm talking to you. I'm sending a message to your husband and your call is coming in, right? I remember that before Praise and I got married, there was one night I was sleeping in my house and I was very restless throughout the night. When I woke up the next morning, the first thing I did was to pick up the call and say, Praise, what happened to you overnight? And he explained everything that happened. I said, I'm on my way to yours. That emotional connection is very key in every relationship. You have to be spiritually aligned and emotionally connected. It is very key. You cannot tell me, oh, this is my belief about God and that is your belief about God, and then everybody's going haywire. Everybody's going wild with what their values are. So you have to have this. You have to be aligned on so many levels for you to successfully navigate being physically apart and having a successful marriage. So that would be my contribution to the whole of this, to say, have that level of alignment in your marriage, that even if things go, rocky, that in your heart of heart that this is where you have been planted and you are grounded enough in this marriage to ensure that nothing shakes or shifts it. Thank you.
Wow. Like I said, this is going to be a masterclass. I don't know how Praise felt that he mentioned 4 or 5 things, but I listed 9 here, almost 10, Seth. And when he was saying number 4, I was actually on number 7. So I'm like, how is this list? Anyway, thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for sharing your story, for sharing your life, for choosing to be vulnerable, and for, giving us some level of wisdom that we can use to navigate. One of the things that you said, and when you stressed the adjective of support system, you stressed strong. And that actually stood out for me, that there is a strong support system. As in, and when you were saying that, you said that you don't just up and leave. Let me see, I'm going to say it the way you said it so that I do not misquote, and I don't want to paraphrase. The hand of the people you arrive into would determine your destiny. The hand of the people who are receiving you. Because you know what that means is that you can't escape their pouring into you. They are pouring their mindset, they are pouring their biases. They will pour it into you. And because you are not, it's a new place for you. They are the first people that will create a belief system for you. And so you can actually be operating based on what they have told you 5 years down the line. So you want to be careful who are the people we are arriving into. So he said strong support system, and be careful. So don't just discuss. So meaning, when you are leaving, don't just discuss leaving. Discuss arrival. Where are we going to go to? Because a lot of times it's like we're just discussing getting out. We are not bothered, and that's how we operate. We're not bothered. Let's just go. When we get there, we will sort ourselves out. That's dangerous. That's one thing that stood out for me. And then he also said, when you were listing fundamentals, you said that, okay, you left America, you went to in Canada, and then you sat down and discussed a lot. So what kind of associations do we want to get into? Who are the kind of people we are going to fraternize with and all that? You mentioned this. Again, something that stood out for me was certain things were already formed before you left. Beliefs were formed, values were formed. The children already know about cooking. Certain things were established so that they could so nobody can just come and dump on the kids. They are already formed in certain ways. That's also essential. And then you also talked about, let me see, trust. That's key. Let me just say briefly, I didn't do a long stretch apart. I was doing 1 month, 2 weeks like that, because my wife was shuttling between Abuja and Lagos. She was working in Lagos. The family was in Abuja. And you see, the first time we're going to do 3 weeks apart, I'm hoping that none of our colleagues at work is on this call. One of the things that some of the guys told her was that, you left Juwon in Abuja with all the Abuja babes. And she would get to office and say, what are you doing here? You left your husband in Abuja for the past 2-3 weeks. And you see, as they said that, my wife was not bothered because certain things were already formed. And the trust was already built even before the relationship started. And so that's the significance of trust. And so when you said that, it just resonated with me that even if somebody is going to come and tell you stuff, you already have trust and connection with your spouse. And then let me, yes, you also talked about building friendship, which is very key. And then you said you need to find a way. And I want to take it from Praise that when you say find a way when it comes to intimacy and sex, is that don't get into a situation whereby you are idle. You're creating content. You are allowing certain thoughts of views to get to say focus. So you are intentionally working on yourself to pour your energy into tasks, into stuff, so that, because it is what it is. Sex is going to be very expensive right now. So if supposing your wife calls you and say, I'm feeling somehow, you are going to look at the bill for that flight. And even if it's just one night, even though it's just 2 hours, it's not 2 hours. That 2 hours is money that you're going to fly down. So a lot of things, I mean, that's, and then when Tosin was going to talk, she talked about, and I mean, one key thing that he said, let me also quote you, be spiritually aligned and emotionally connected. There are people that are not even living apart, but they are apart. They are not living apart physically. They are in the same home, but they have been living apart for the past 4 years. That is true. And because they are emotionally disconnected. And so if you are emotionally connected, is one key way to navigate living apart. Wow. Kai, see, my notes are full. I don't know if you can see, my notes are full. And I can actually create an article from this. I hope there's no copyright to this one. No? So please, don't even go there.
It's called intellectual property. You make reference to.
Let me say something that Tosin.
All right, please go ahead.
Tosin, you remember that when we were getting married, part of what we said was that we're going to open our home to people to come and live in, you know, find expression and stuff, you know. Now I'm thinking back right now, you know, I think maybe like 3 different people have made a stopover in our home in Canada already. Even in about 4 years that they've been there, right? And so it's almost like our home is gradually becoming the headquarters that people land into, and then from there they find, you know, their ways and stuff like that, you know. So one of the things I always say to people, when Tosin said, I remember one day she called me and she was like, she was thanking me and was like, thank you for making that decision for us to move at the time we moved, you know, because if there's something my wife knows, I never tell my wife, God told me. I never use that word. And I do that intentionally because my wife is very intellectual. I need her to disagree with me because that helps me. And I don't usually tell her, you know. And so when I'm at every cutting edge in my life or in our lives, I know exactly when it's time to do something or when it's time to move, you know. So we are looking back right now at the time she went to school in Canada and the exchange rate at that time, right? In fact, some things had happened ahead of time. If I will be very honest, I'll tell you, we had there was some transaction we did in a state in America. I can't remember what's the state name again. You know, we bought a house somewhere in America, right? But the tenant, it was supposed to be a house that the tenant is supposed to be paying rent, but the tenant refused to pay rent. Nothing was happening, you know. So I just told the person that you know, bought us there, say, you know what, can you sell this house and then just give us the money, even if we don't make profit? Let us. The money came handy at the time they were ready to leave. In fact, I just removed the money, buy ticket for them, and they moved. You know, but if we had waited a little bit more, now look at what the exchange rate has become right now. Look at the way things are. I mean, Nigeria was not the way it was when they moved. As in, there was no future that anything was going to collapse like that, you know. And so they were well settled in and stuff. And that's why spiritual mindedness, now I'm not saying religious mindedness, spiritual mindedness is very, very key. Bible says a hearing here and a seeing eyes comes from the Lord. I mean, I play a lot and I look like an unspiritual person, you know, when I'm talking and stuff, you know, but I'm a deeply spiritual person and I kind of understand times and seasons and, you know, and the capacity to accommodate people and let them pass through us to find their footing. I actually believe that God sent us ahead of time for others. So there are lots of people who are coming into America, for example, now, who are my mentees, that I quickly tell them this and this and this are the things you need to do, blah, 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 blah. Don't join this, don't join this, don't join this. And it's working for a lot of them. You know, so a sense of assignment is the other thing I wanted to just add to what Tosin said. Yeah.
Joel, you're muted. You know,
All right.
I already know I have a house in Ivan now. So that was
a sense of assignment. Dima, it's not only you.
Oga, calm down. Queue behind your leaders.
All right. Okay. So anyway, participants, I hope you are preparing your questions. You can drop them in the question and answer box so that we'll take them when the time is right. Okay, we'll change gear briefly and we'll take some few minutes to listen to the testifier for today, Team Adigwe, and that's Udoka and Ifechukwu Adigwe. They are going to testify. You know, we are still celebrating TeamDinmaNedum 20th wedding anniversary. So they're going to share their testimony, what it is about the TeamDinmaNedum marriage and family that that has been helpful to them, and what they have learned from the couple. They in yet?
They are in,
Can
but
we
they
allow
need the videos. Team
yes.
Adigwe, videos, please.
Team Adigwe, are you sure they are in? I can't see them.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening. How are you people
Hello,
wearing
Joel,
black
good
together?
evening.
And we're trying to emulate people. They are wearing black as well. You know, I was about saying that you left Tosin out because she's the only one not putting on glasses. All of you, Grace, only Tosin.
We're getting old. We're getting older. Our eyes are
So
closed.
you people now are making Tosin feel among now, so no problem. She's not out there again.
I only use my glasses to read. I don't use it to see, so that's why I'm not wearing it.
Boy,
that's how professors do. That's how professors do.
Exactly.
Okay, so Tosin,
All right,
in our
Team Adigwe, over to you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Like Joe rightly said, my name is Udoka Adigwe, and my wife is Ifechukwu Adigwe. First of all, I want to start by wishing Dinma and Nedum happy 20th wedding anniversary. I would say I was there when it started. I was there when he was doing, oh boy, Jumo, the kind of lottery when we play for this girl head, you're not going to believe her. We played lottery for her head. It's really been a wonderful ride. It's really been a wonderful ride. They've been part of our life just as much as we have been part of their own lives. And it's been an amazing journey, and it's been an eventful one, and it's been a very joyful one. After they got married, you know, like I knew Theo before he got married, actually. And if anyone knows Theo to this extent, from what he has transited, from what he used to be to what he is today, I wouldn't have dreamt it. I would not have seen it coming. It's a huge transformation. Jumo, you won't believe that. That this guy you see laughing and being jovial and being all that, 20 years back then, you won't get that from him. You won't get that from him, you know? But, which is part of the reason I celebrate him, which is one of the major reasons I celebrate him. Their life really has been an embodiment of joy, of intentionality, of happiness, and the openness to learn, and which is majorly one of the things we have taken from their union in the past 20 years. You know, there are times in life that you can do things without, you know, I'm in the financial sector, you know, I'm an accountant by profession. So at times you might be doing something without attaching terms to the particular things you're doing. But knowing TeamDinmaNedum, we've been able to attach terminologies to those things that we do in life. And one of it is being vulnerable. Secondly, intentionality. I'll give you an example. A couple of years back, I think when they were about 16 years into marriage, they paid a visit to our home, our house, and we had a guest.
and they came into our house, and all through their stay in the house, Dima was always touching, if she's not fiddling with his head, she's touching one part or the other in our home. And the moment they left, you know what the couple that came to visit us asked us? They said, are they dating? Are they dating? Are this one still dating? This was after 15, 16 years of their marriage. They asked us, are this one still dating? Why are they still doing touching, loving, whispering things? And it was a big take home for us as well. It was a big take home for us as well. If they can be, these two people, let me borrow a word from the governor of Imo State, Mbemberism. There's a word he used, Mbemberism. Iberiberism. That is, those two people you see there, that is what they are. They are open to public show of affection. They don't really care what people think. What is important to them is what they feel for each other and what they are thinking. And if you ask me, that is a major part of what most marriages are missing these days. People think a lot about what would this person say, what would this person feel, how are they going to interpret what we're doing, and they end up not enjoying their marriage. But with these two, believe me, any time spent with them is time what every second is what every second, and I guess that's why we love them, and we don't hesitate to be part of whatever they are doing. The values they've instilled, they talk about, we also try to build it in our own home. Like my family, we are strong in support. We are very, very strong in supporting my family. And they've been able to help us in that aspect, because you can't actually, like Praise actually said, when you get to a particular place, the people you meet and the community plays a huge role in how you fashion your destiny. And they've been a big part of that for us. So, and for that, I think we'll be eternally grateful. And we know that we'll continue to be friends with them. Dima is my troublemaker. She's a very good friend of mine as well. We go way back with the family.
So I'm now troublemaker, not your second love.
No, you're my second love now. You're always in my second love. She will be my first, but she will always be my second love.
Okay, so
he's still making trouble even on Zoom meeting.
Okay, so for me, one of those things that, we're here to share about the marriage getaways. And one of the things that I really, really enjoyed about it was the fact that couples could come there and bond. It was a good time for us as a couple to stay away from family. Initially, it was quite difficult for me, leaving the kids behind. But as time went on, I grew into it and I enjoyed every bit of it. I loved the fact that we could pray. I love the fact that we could review our relationships, like my husband said, we're vulnerable to talk about anything. And more like those getaways would give you a time. It wasn't just about fun. Yes, the fun was part of it, but then the review was a greater part of it. And interestingly, we also had prayer sessions where you get to pray with your spouse. So it was more like an all-rounded kind of getaway, unlike, some of them that it was just about romance and all that. But for this, it was a wholesome, opportunity for couples to be together and then grow together, especially with like minds. And it was, it has been an amazing experience with TeamDinmaNedum. Their home is our home. Our children go to their home, and then we are not scared of what would happen or if they will be unsafe. So it's actually been a pleasure knowing you. I actually came to meet them. You know, when my husband met me, he took me to the movies, you know, to introduce me. I don't know whether they were trying to see whether I pass. So
we were scoping her then. We were scoping her then.
You know, but then it has been a beautiful experience, and I want to say happy 20th wedding anniversary. I hope that in 20 years' time, you know, you'll be loving each other stronger together, and then also raising other families. And then we're also here to support you, even as we move and work on our own journey. We love you so much, and it's a pleasure to be, you know, your guys, right? So.
Yeah, Joe, if I could quickly say this, you know, prior to, you know, after we got married, I'm someone that is, I like taking my wife out, like going on a holiday, okay? But the getaway kind of comes like in a whole package. You know, when you go on a holiday with your wife, you know, you don't really pray as much, you don't, like for those that understand last week, piam, 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 no, piam, piam, you know, then piam, piam, you know, that kind of stuff. But with
I
their own
understand.
kind of getaway, it was not just that. You understand? It wasn't just that. It was educational. It was interactive. It's always interactive. And you tend to learn things from other people that you share the same values with, which is very, very important, because all the people that come there, you share the same value. They try to imbibe the same values into them. Then building a bigger community. And then by so doing, you have people of like minds that you can actually reach out to. You know, when you're reaching out to this person, I now know, seeing Jumo online now, I now know that tomorrow, if I have any reason to discuss with you, I know I'm discussing with a like mind. I know I'm discussing to a level that I can share the same value with you. I think I've met Praise like 3-4 times. Mr. P, I've met you like 3-4 times, a wonderful fellow. I've met Tosin a couple of times as well. And whenever I meet them as well, for Theo and Dima to identify with them as well, gives me that confidence that these are guys that I share the same values with. And my wife doing her certification in family engineering as well, has also from Praise. We're building a whole community of like minds. So it's actually a wonderful thing. It's a great thing. And I encourage everyone to let's just keep doing what you're doing, and the sky is surely our beginning.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Team Adigwe. And you see, I get to my brother, when women plan vacation, it's just a strategy for Piam. We can call it vacation. we cap it vacation, but it's just a strategy to block her for maybe 48 hours or 72 hours stretch with no disturbance from children. So, but then with TeamDinmaNedum now, they will now put prayer into it. I need to know about this getaway. Anyway, we'll talk about it after the meeting. Well, thank you so much, Team Adigwe, for sharing your story, for testifying, and for letting us know how impactful TeamDinmaNedum has been. And I know that you represent a number of couples out there that have also benefited. And you see, it's a beautiful thing that, you know, these interactions is, in other words, just building a community. I mean, you're just stretching that level of friendship and relationship, that we continue to add value to one another. We continue to help one another grow and become better. I mean, I like what Ifechukwu said. She said that my children can actually go to their home and I will not feel that they are unsafe. And that is rare in our age. That is rare in our age. When some children say they are going to do sleepovers in their friends, you want to check What are the value systems of the parents that these children are going to stay with? And you see, and that's why a lot of families, a lot of couples just want to hold on to their kids. They don't want them to go anywhere because they don't want anything to just mess up the things they have been building for 5, 10 years. But you see, when you find like minds, that you see, man, I need to take my wife out. These children, Dima, where are you? Are you guys at home? And you just dump them. That confidence is priceless. It's priceless. You can't buy it anywhere. And so, TeamDinmaNedum, I want to thank you for what you are doing, for being intentional about building community, about raising a group of married couples that are like-minded and they are impacting their society. May God continue to increase your strength and bless you in return. Having done that, I think I'm going to welcome TeamDinmaNedum back to introduce the project and the discount offer they are going to give. And I think she should even talk about this getaway. I've been in this Love-A-Thon for a long time. Everybody just keeps talking about it. You think me, I don't like getaway? I beg. Don't just do Bliss project alone. Talk about a getaway to let us hear what's going on. And let us see how we can integrate ourselves into it. All right, over to you, Sir Ama.
Thank you so much, Junwo. Thank you so much, Team Adigwe. And I'm just listening to you share your story, and Junwo coming to revalidate this. I just want to share something. Maybe that would be for somebody that is here. I can't remember the year exactly, but 1 year, I don't know, but it should be before 2014 or 2013. So Nedum and I had attended a marriage encounter weekend, all right, to just reflect on our marriage, and it's a marriage enrichment stuff. So one of the assignments we were given to do on the first day of arriving at the retreat ground, which was organized by the Catholic Archbishop of Lagos, Catholic Archdiocese of Lagos, was to write what we wanted to see in our relationship. And so it was differently, we were to write differently and now come back. So on that particular day, whilst I was writing, and just last month or so, we redesigned this place thanks to a kind soul who decided to see my face popping in a white bookshelf, right? And when we're repacking, I saw that exercise book that I used then. I brought it out because I'd never read it to the children, and I showed them, and they were like, what did I write that is material to this conversation? So in that book, I was writing how I felt that we didn't have a community of like minds in our immediate environment. So it looked like some people were having conversations with them. It's looking like you're talking Greek or you're talking one Obodo Ibo thing. Like it was dry, not having like minds. So I wrote it that I wanted to intentionally connect with people that we could be comfortable with talking about and building community. Interestingly, when Nedum and I were sharing what we wrote, he had written something similar. So why am I sharing this? Team Adigwe have always been in our lives, right? From when we got married. In fact, I still told my children the other day, for all of our 4 children that we had, Udoka was the first visitor in the hospital each time we give birth. I just needed to say, hey, baby has arrived. He was the first, aside from my mother. If you are looking at friends, he was always the first for all of them. He didn't miss any of them. The first to arrive in the hospital to just see us and the baby. So that's how we've been. But then just having that goal made us more intentional to, build more community life. If I may not know this, but I think sometime last month, the daughter had a situation in school. And then she had been navigating with her mom, and she came back and was crying and saying, call Auntie Dimma, I want to tell Auntie Dimma this. Like when she called me and said, maybe said she wants to tell you about what is happening. This is not the first time, but that one particularly got me. And I was just filled with gratitude that indeed we have created a tribe and a clan where we can be ourselves and all that. And I tell you people, life is hard on your own. And like I always say to I was talking to one woman and she said to me, Dima, I'll just try to protect. I said, you can never protect your children enough because they will still go out to schools. They will still go out to meet other people. So the best way to integrate this lifestyle is to form communities, is to form tribes, is to have clans. So it's not out of place that sometimes we just say, hey, let's hang out, have fun and play. It is also because we want the children to get integrated with themselves and build that relationship. And I must say thank you. Every time we have called on you, you have been there, you have kept this friendship, and there is no way to have just happened based on us, because you also have been a good team player. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, do you want to answer your question about getaways? So, we got married in 2003. And so 6 years into our marriage, if you're conversant with how marriages are done in the Catholic Church, we have a system called witnesses. So when you're getting married, you have to nominate like a couple who will stand as your official witness.
Is it my end? Or did we lose them?
Can you hear me? Oh my goodness.
No, we can hear you. I think it's Joanne.
Oh, fantastic. So I was trying to build a background to how the getaway started. So in the Catholic Church, we have a system of having witnesses, right? So when you're getting married, you nominate a couple who will be your official witnesses to your wedding. Okay, and so 6 years into our marriage, we had had a couple of marriages that we had witnessed to. Just like it is when you're standing in as a witness, a godfather, a godmother. So it's more like a godfather, godmother thing in marriage. And because for us, learning is something we like to do, and impact is one of our core values. We're like, we can't be having people that were standing as witnesses. There's no system to check what is happening in their marriage. We don't know what is happening. How do we play that role? So we invited the couples to our home, and they spent the weekend with us. There were about 5 or 6 couples.
Five
Couples as at that time. So they spent the weekend with us, and we shared a lot of things. We talked about love language, how we've been communicating, the things that we've learned in our 5-6 years of marriage and all of that. The couples went back home, and thankfully, they started to implement what they learned. So their friends started to ask them, something has changed in your relationship. What happened? Where did you go? Blah, blah, blah. And they shared with their friends how this came about. And those friends got interested and said, oh, so when next year going, you should bring us. And so our house became too small to host couples weekend getaway. And that is the history of how we started. And then we started to take it out to hotels. Then after hotels, we're like, nah, we want somewhere away from home experience. And we started to use resorts. So thankfully, since 2019, we have hosted couples weekend getaways every year, aside from 2020, the COVID year. Interestingly, we always host it in July, around the weekend of our anniversary, as our way of celebrating our anniversary and impacting other families. This year, the getaway is Love-A-Thon, because we wanted to do a milestone celebration and not just have a small number of people. Can we share with a larger crowd? And that's how this happened. So the next weekend getaway per se, the TeamDinmaNedum style, will be July next year. And so get your bags packed. Like Tim Adigwe said,
we are getting ready.
It has always been, we are grateful that it has always been impactful, and we're just mere instruments in the hand of God. So can I talk about preparing for bliss right now?
You are free now. Now you can talk about preparing for bliss.
Okay, so let me do some Lovingida and tap anointing, since they say the only work I know is to be rubbing a man's head.
Touchy, touchy.
All right, so again, in line with how we have operated, Neduma and I have helped intending couples and engaged couples prepare for marriage. If you followed us through the Love-A-Thon, one of the things we are grateful for was the intentionality with how we started our life together.
Mm-hmm.
And again, to build a background to it, also at a time when I started to feel kind of confused when people ask me, so what is your marriage story? And I tell our marriage story, and they're like, Dinma, you're making it look as if you have never fought, you have never one thing. All right. I remember one time we started a Facebook group, and then somebody said to me, why she didn't join the group was that it was too much love was happening there. She needed somebody to make it real for her of all the pains and all that. And I must tell you, I struggled with that. And I'm not here to say that we don't have misunderstandings, but I can tell you that our level of misunderstandings have gradually reduced significantly because we have grown in knowing ourselves. Mm-hmm. So when I was in that situation, just leaving banking, starting to build this career around family life, my coaches would say to me, Dinma, you have to highlight a pain point. Like, listen to this person's story. They almost wanted to quit. And so they came back and made a turnaround. What's that pivotal pain point? Before you and I and my God, I didn't have any pivotal pain point that I needed to do a pain to power story, right? So we continued that way until one day, again in our history, we've hosted exceptional single summit, right? Which TeamDinmaNedum have also participated and been speakers on. And we're preparing for that day. I just heard as I was reflecting in the morning, my best moments of tapping into my spirituality is in my silent meditation. I think I posted the other day talking about my early morning trance-like states, right? So it just came to me, share your story. And I'm like, which story? So talk about your story. Your story is about how you can intentionally prepare for marriage that helps you to enjoy a happy marriage. And I ran downstairs and said, Nedum, I think this is where we need to go. And so we started to work on the project, Preparing for Bliss, and helping intending couples to really build some pillars that can grow into a lasting marriage where they don't have to face the supposed myths of the first 5 years being the most turbulent. I didn't have a turbulent first 5 years. And I'm not saying that, that's my experience. So this experience has been documented to what do you need to do in preparing for marriage that can give you that head start, that good foundation where you don't have to first fight and almost want to kill yourself before you learn it. And that's the Preparing for Bliss project. Before now, July 2023, it has only been delivered as a one-on-one project, where we get to spend time with the engaged couples for 12 weeks and take them through the modules, through the worksheets and all of that. And that comes at about some monies will be exchanged. And so part of our legacy projects for our 20th anniversary is to say that we are launching Preparing for Bliss project as a group project, where we have a minimum number of people who can take the project at the same time at a reduced cost. That does not mean that we are no longer offering the one-on-one. We still offer the one-on-one, but then it's going to cost at least $1,000 for the 12 weeks. And so we want to push out our message. We want to help as many people to enjoy bliss by starting right. That's why we're doing the group experience, which is what I'm talking about. All right. So the first group Preparing for Bliss project will start in September, but registration has started. Okay. So you might be here married. If you are in your first 5 years of marriage, Preparing for Bliss is still for you. If you are engaged, about to step into saying I do, Preparing for Bliss is still for you. If you are in a serious dating relationship, but you want to set the right foundations. Preparing for bliss is for you. If you are also in a loving dating relationship about to marry, but you are afraid of the trends and the stories that you are hearing, hey, is it that when we now get married, but you want to set up the 3 pillars, preparing for bliss is for you. From our preparation, from what we've learned, and even from our work as certified marriage coaches, we've come to identify that there are essentially 3 pillars that makes for a lasting marriage. First is being a flourishing, desirable spouse, and all of the dynamics in it for you to know yourself and all of that. Secondly is having a shared marriage mindset with your spouse. And thirdly is co-creating flexible systems for your personal and mutual harmony. Every other thing we're going to do to enjoy marriage is refining, tweaking, updating on all these 3 pillars. And those are the pillars we'll be teaching at Preparing for Bliss project. How to start marriage right to enjoy a lasting, flourishing one. Again, I said we're giving it as our legacy project. So it's up available. We will share the links with you. If this resonates with you, Juwon, that's all about Preparing for Bliss project. And I'm hoping that we get to share this with as many intending couples as we can.
Wow, 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 wow. That's a powerful gift right there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you see, I'm glad you're doing this because the narrative is always that, and that narrative has gone far. First 5 years is going to be turbulent. It doesn't have to be so. It doesn't have to be so. There are people that did not have it. And so it doesn't have to be so. And if you want to know what to do and what not to do for you to actually enjoy bliss and actually have fun all year round, this is for you. And I think you should take advantage of it. And I think that for being part of this Love-A-Thon, there's a discount offer. But then I think you'll mention it as it draws closer. Okay, I think please drop your questions in the question and answer box. I have one question at the moment. We're going to bring Team Fowe back, and they will be attending to the questions with TeamDinmaNedum. So I'm going to take the first question that I have here. If you have any question, please send them in. Send them in if you have any questions. All right. So the first question I have here says that, what age? Okay, Team Fowe, you're back. Good. What age do you consider to be formative years? What age do you consider to be formative years?
Thank you very much. Tosin is going to join back. They're about taking family pictures, so she dropped off to go take family pictures in Niagara Falls.
Without you, that is.
Well, they will find a way to use AI to sneak me into the picture.
Okay.
Okay, so well, formative years is usually the first 7 years of a child's life. Those are the years of that's what is called formative years. It's a general term. Of course, it doesn't necessarily mean that you stop raising a child. You know, when a child is born, the child is simply playing. The child knows nothing. Who the child becomes is basically as a result of your beliefs and the environment and the information you expose the child to, right? And so if you're not very intentional at that level, it's going to affect a lot of things. And you need to know that, so in the first 3 years of a child's life, you are not supposed to judge a child's potential. You're just supposed to observe. We call that the scouting phase. From 4 to 6 is when you become a model, right? And what that means is what you yourself do becomes critical to the destiny of your child, because your child learns from what they see you do. So in that age is where, so if you're a father who never wash your plate, your male child is not likely going to be washing his plates, except you hound him, right? If you don't lay your bed, your child is not likely going to be laying his bed, right? Except you bully them, right? So, but it's easier. In fact, if you don't read, so when parents say, oh, my child is always on guard, he doesn't read books, our children read books, because when they were growing up, you read the books at par with your age, right? So if you're a 5-year-old, you read 5 pages, of a book every day. If you are 2 years old, we will read two pages of a book to you every day, kind of, so those were things that they saw us do, and it became a part of their lives, right? So they saw me go to the market. I took them to the market to go and buy meat. And so it was so good that my son did not even know that there were homes where women were the ones who cook in those homes. He didn't know. He just thought that every human being, every home was like a place where their mommy cooked and things like that, right? So the first 7 years very critical. They need to know what you believe. They need to know your values. They need to know what you stand for, and you need to intentionally script them. So we have a family constitution that says that we will always live in an estate, and 3 of our friends, minimum of 2 to 3 of our friends, must live in the same estate with us because we believe in community parenting. So everywhere we lived in Nigeria, we always had a community. In fact, when we moved to a new estate, the last estate we lived in before they moved to Canada, I remember that the first thing I did was, because there were so many children in that estate, I told the parents, since they knew I was there, said I'll teach their children sexual education for free, right? So they all sent their children to me. I taught them sexual education and basic things about identity for weeks, right? And they were very grateful because it was free. Those are things I would normally charge for. But I was helping myself because their children are going to be interacting with my own children. So I needed to impose our values on them, kind of, right? And before you knew it, all the children began to watch over one another and things like that, So formative years, the first 7 years of a child's life, and you want to do a good job. Now, that's not to say that you can't move if your child is still under 7. However, if you're going to move abroad, there are fundamentals you need to know, because you're going to, North America is good for 2 couple income, kind of, right? And so you need to understand both of you are going to be working. So a lot of people, the downsides to it is they no longer have time to raise their kids, and immediately their kids blend into the culture of this. So school becomes a source of culture. And in school, you hear children who say, when my father was, a fuck up, I called 911, called police on my blah, blah, blah. So if one day you are going to say to your child, I remember I had to go and handle a case in Canada where a parent said in Yoruba to the child, I'm going to kill you in this house. Right? And the child called 911, right? And they came to arrest the parent, the father, to say he's going to kill. Why would you want to murder a child? So I had to explain that, I'm going to kill you from Nigerian parlance is not I'm going to murder you. It just means a way to threaten the child into submission, to do what he needs to do and things like, so those are the dynamics. But I can't imagine my child calling police on me right now. It's never going to happen. So that's why it's important for you to, find a community. Indians do that very well in Canada. Indians live together. They live same area. And things like that. And that's one thing that people need to learn. But in case you want to move, we can provide some support, some ideas for you, depending on where you're moving to, either Canada or America. Now, what we have done is to build communities across those areas. So wherever you're moving to, I can literally say, okay, move to this area. There is someone there waiting for you to receive you and show you how things are done. So basically, for 7 years of a child's life is the formative years.
Thank you very much. Yes, please, go ahead.
This is the one he said. So for everyone who is online and has attended Love-A-Thon, and probably like the offer PF just made of having different places in Canada and America that can help you to integrate, I think it will be nice to share the link for House of Saviors, so that is where they get that integration done. Otherwise, we might not be able to capture that. So we would also be emailing the link. So if you're planning on joining, if you're already there, but you're feeling lonely, you don't have a community, you need to identify with a tribe, House of Saviors might just be how you can get that like-minded tribe that will give you the peace of mind that you need.
Okay, so the link to House of Savior will be sent to the mails, right?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Okay, good. So please note that, check your mail. You'll get the link for that in your inbox. So the second question I have here, so TeamDinmaNedum, since at the beginning, you already gave us the disclaimer, you only lived apart for 1 month. All my question is going to Team Forward. I'll just be smiling at you people. But anyway, if you have anything to add, you can add from your 1 month experience. It's okay, we'll take it. Anyways, So my question here says that, should there be a timeline for being apart? If there is, what will you recommend? 1 year, 2, 5? As in a timeline that couples must not go at this. I mean, if you have gotten to this point, you people should come together. So the question is, should there be a timeline? If there should be a timeline, what would you recommend?
Honestly, I don't recommend long separation, and I'll tell you why. I am here in America. I have seen the risk Nigerians take to Japa. I know not even someone. I know someone who came in with, I know people, not someone, who came in with visiting visa to the US. One of the worst things that can happen to you in the US is to come in with visiting visa and stay back in the US. Canada, you even have a chance, because in Canada, you can get a job and it can be converted. In America, it's not going to be converted. I have seen people who stayed back, husband stayed back, hoping to regularize, and it's been 7 years. He has not seen his children. He has not seen his wife. They can't leave America. They can't come here. And doesn't have papers. When people get to that point, the options available will be either to be deported, report yourself, or number 2 will be maybe file for asylum, which most likely you're not going to get. Or number 3 would be to marry someone else, to get papers, which is what many of them are trying to do. Now, in trying to do that, it comes with its own risk, because you will need to divorce. It's just, so I always say to people that there is a way to do it right? And so if you do it right, for example, I came into the US with O1 visa, and my O1 visa is a 3-year special talent, exceptional skilled visa, right? And with my O1 visa, I could go in and out, see them, I could travel. The only time I couldn't travel was when I put in for my green card application. Once your green card is approved and you're trying to change your status, you can't leave America. And that was for like about 3 months or something. Even after that, they now give me advanced parole, which means I could travel with advanced parole. So it's always very important for you to seek the right counsel and do it right. I know quite a number of Nigerians who divorce their spouses at home, and come to America and to be able to marry someone else. Of course, those things are arranged, they do it, marry someone else. Of course, they are not sleeping together. It's just an arranged marriage. And when they get their papers, they file for their family. But that process of even filing for your family, for them to join you, cannot take less than 3 to 5 years, kind of. So it's always, if you want to do visiting visa and stay back, it's better to all come together and stay back, so that you know that you're going to roughen it. But it's very tough when you don't have papers in any developed country, right? And so I'm going to recommend that please plan these things properly and find someone to talk to, who can guide you, because there are so many people throwing a lot of things at people and them sharing all kinds. There are legitimate templates to relocate. It exists. You only need to find out the right one. So I may not be able to tell you this is depending on your profession. For example, if you are a soldier and you are in the US Army and you are on peacekeeping mission, you may not see your spouse in 2, 3, 4 years. You can talk to them. You can watch videos. I mean, I have 2 friends who are veterans now. They've left in fact, 3 of them who have left US Army. There were times they didn't see their family for 3 years, but they are all in America. They didn't see them, because they were in fact, nobody was sure they were going to come back, but eventually came back. However, if that is going to be your lot, then the system you have built is what is going to sustain you. Right. And I keep mentioning system. So I am not in Canada, but I'm in control of what goes into the mind of my children. Right. There is a lesson plan. I recommend, it's called, in family system engineering, we call it the family educational system, the domestic educational system. Right. I recommend do it once a week. Right. But because I'm not there, they do it daily. So there are videos they watch every day that we discuss every day, kind of, so there's the system. So if you want to take that decision and you're going to be gone for a long time, please get TeamDinmaNedum to sit with you. They can help you create a plan, right? And so it's like a script, and that script must be followed to the letter, where they look at what will likely go wrong, and through systems intelligence, they're able to mitigate it and give both of you a script to say, okay, when scenario planning, when this happened, this is what we're going to do. When that happened, this is what we're going to do. You know, so it's tougher if it's longer, you know, but I will say, please, maximum 1 year, 2 years, it's or else, if you don't see yourself 5 years, 6 years, by the time you meet, you are no longer the same person because you are living in another environment, in another world. And that's how homes break, honestly.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much. So that I don't have a situation whereby it's a Nigerian that left and it's a Canadian you're now marrying.
Yeah.
All right. So my next question, I think that answers that question. I hope that the person that asked that question is satisfied. Now, this question says, what would you say to a wife who has a high libido, but her husband is not open to options? She's unemployed and is going crazy with just taking care of the children and doing house chores, and they are living apart.
Who is unemployed?
How should the wife?
And she's the one that has high libido.
Yeah, she's the one that has high libido.
Yeah, calm down.
Okay. You see, I don't like to be in the same session with Dima because she knows Dima can literally predict my mind, the way my mind works. That's the downside of working side by side with her for years. Now, sorry, Tosin is saying that the system is not allowing her back in. All right. So Dima, I think you might want to chat out.
Yeah,
so the wife has high libido, right?
Yes.
Be interested. At what point did the high libido start? Did it start after giving birth, or it's always been like that?
It's always been like that. I think, yeah, it's always been like that.
That's always been like that. Why is she not working? Right? Because work is one of the ways, you know, it's like when I teach sex helplines way back when I used to teach teenagers, I always say to them that a man at the war front does not remember how to have sex. Because at the war front, how to survive, how bullets will not eat you. It's your preoccupation. That's what occupies your mind. Right? It's when there's no bullets that you can see a fine girl. Right? Now, work is not, human beings are built to work. Right? So this concept of full-time housewife, except that housewife is now a work for you, right? Which can be, and you better turn it to a business where you take care of other people's children and collect money, right? There is something that happens when people don't work. So in this case, they are living apart. She's not working, right? And she has high libido. Please, I'm going to recommend that this case, if we're to be medical, we will need to call 911 and, you know, wheel them to intensive care almost immediately. This matter requires urgent attention. And there are questions I can't answer based on the question, the person, because I need to sit with you one-on-one, but I'm going to recommend Dima to please find a way to see her so that they can ask you the right questions, because I like to know, you know, what are the options available? Why are you apart? Is it that she doesn't have a visa to where you are? Can you travel? If one of you can travel, then you need to be able to plan wherein maybe every quarter or once in 6 months you can travel. Do you like things like phone sex, virtual sex, blah, blah, blah? If you can do that, that'll be fine. Are you comfortable if sex toys are introduced like dildo and blah, 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 blah? Those questions need to be answered, right? Because if care is not taken, she's not working, temptation is arising, there's a limit to human endurance after a while, right? And so lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil, is what the Bible says, right? And so the situation is already looking like being led into evil. Right?
Evil.
It's the temptation. In fact, it looks like it's a walking temptation that we are dealing with here, right? So I'm going to appeal to both of you. Please get on a virtual session with Team Dima and Uncle Nedum, you know, so that they can properly analyze and diagnose and recommend solutions for you. I mean, I'm mobile. I can hop on the plane right now and just fly to Canada if it becomes unbearable, kind of, but when you can't move from one country to the other, that becomes very, very difficult. So one of the ways might be, can she even start a job and let's see if the libido is still.
I was going to say that. Like maybe a stopgap measure.
Yeah, it might drop, or are there things that she's even eating that is causing the increase in libido or something? Because libido energy, also it's chemicals that are working here, and we can literally pick apart what are the things. Because if someone is not working, there is a highly likely tendency that person is watching Z World, that person is watching Sex Life, which is a long series where they had sex from the beginning to the end in that series. So if that person watches that thing, the libido will be high normally, right? So it might be the person needs to get a job, but we need to psychoanalyze the person, and I'll recommend Team and Nedum. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much.
I'll add something to what PF said. Don't say
sorry, Dima, before you add, can you bring Tosin in?
Yes, I've given her the options. We've chatted. She will be on because
okay, all right. Okay.
But Tosin is working now, and I'm not sure her libido is that high, so I don't know what she will continue.
No, the next question, she might need to attend to the next question, so I need her in.
Let me add to what PF said. I think again for such a couple is also like how the partner comes across with compassion. Okay, so I've had a conversation with someone who was in this kind of situation, and it's like, in that case, the lady was outside, the husband was making money in Naira and then converting to dollars, and with the high rates, of course, the man is under pressure and all of that. So when she brings up such conversation, he kind of shuts her off, like, we're talking serious things and you're talking about sex. Is it only sex? Do you understand? So it's also, let's validate each other's feelings. Your libidinal energy might be what it is, but this is a reality. So yes, you might not be available there, but can you help the person to suit the person? Like make the person feel seen and validated that she's feeling this way, rather than making her feel like shit, making her feel like, do you understand? So that could also help, because at least let me not feel that my own is too much because this is what I'm desiring. It's not bad that I should desire this, but we're in this together. Can we even talk about it? Again, of course, in this same situation, I got to also have a chat with the man, and then the man has his own perspective to it that was making it come across like that. But everything just boils down to the same vulnerability. The man being vulnerable to share his own fears, his own anxieties, whilst also listening to the woman, and both of them just having that sense of we're in this together, than leaving me to rot in my own suffering.
Okay, thank you so much. Because, Praise talked about, can the woman look for some job, at least because of the situation right now? That's on the woman's side. And I would like you to speak on this, Timfo. That's on the woman's side, looking for a job. Something that the man also can consider, because this is now trying to make compromises or shift. Can the man also consider virtual sex? Can you speak on that, Praise?
Yeah, I mentioned that, but they need to both be comfortable. For us, for example, I think when Tosin was in the UK, we tried that. And she would say to me that, after trying that, the level of temptation that she now faces begins to increase, by the time she goes out of work the following day in the UK, so we had to literally shut her down, and find.
And UK is very cold.
So you find alternatives, because it's not everyone. People's capacity to handle things differ. And that's what I think Dima is trying to say by saying that you need to deal with your partner with compassion, right? Some people can take some things, some people cannot take some things, some people can undo some things, and never forget that many of us are coming from different backgrounds. Where I'm coming from is different from where my wife is coming from, So when a partner is not comfortable with certain things, some of them can be comfortable with chat, some of them it's seeing a movie together, some of them is a letter or poems. Some of them is just, creating some romantic scene or something like that, right? But ideally, the best thing is, as fast as you can, please perfect your papers so that you can, what God has done, let no man put asunder. That's what I believe the Bible says, so don't create even Paul talked about, you can separate for a season. That's what it says, and quickly come together. But when this season now becomes forever separation, whatever, that's why I'm always a stickler for find a way to do your papers right, do your movement right. If you can move as a family, that would be fantastic, right? And even if you are not moving as a family, at least have papers so that you are mobile to go in and out. Very, very key. Yeah, I think Tosin is back.
Thank you so much. Tosin is back just at the nick of time.
Yeah.
Okay, because I want a thought on this next question, which is actually my final question. Tosin, welcome back. Please unmute. I'll take your thoughts and then I'll take Praise's thoughts too. Please unmute. So the question is, what can couple, because she talked about spiritual alignment and emotional connection. So what can couples do to maintain a strong emotional connection even while living apart? That's the question. She's still muted.
TPF, are you there?
Okay, yes, she's there.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Did you hear my question?
Yes, I did.
Okay, thank you. Please take it from there.
Yeah. I think the first thing that we need to understand is, why did I marry this in the first place? So when you an emotional connection, the purpose for your marriage, understand the things that you love about this person, understand why you chose to go this path. Because a continuous reminder to yourself of why you are doing what you are doing, what you are trying to achieve, why you came together in the first place, the purpose, for which God has brought you together. Those are things that you need to keep reminding yourself, because if you don't have a reason from the very beginning, it's just like, for a lot of people, it's just Japa. You see anywhere but Nigeria. So when things start, coming at you emotionally, and you can't. I remember there was one day I called my husband. I was crying on the phone. I said, I cannot go through this weather again. It was deep winter, when the cold weather is beating at your skin and you can see lines, as if somebody has, whipped you with horsewhip, and you could see that on your skin. And that day I was crying. I was like, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. But when you think again about why you are doing what you are doing, it keeps you, it keeps you in check, and it helps you to, to come to that place where you appreciate what you are doing, and, gives you the strength to want to keep going. There are some people who are emotionally vulnerable. I understand that. And, you need to keep an open conversation with your spouse around your emotional feelings. You need to be able to talk about how you feel, why you are feeling like that, what you can do. Be vulnerable, be aware of what your emotions are. Be aware of what your emotions are, and be able to talk about that, easily, comfortably. That will help you, because if you keep things to yourself and you are unable to, talk about your emotions, you dry up. You dry up, and you need to have a time when you can come apart and, with your spouse, and discuss, things, even trivial things that can help you to bond, and you have to do a lot of things that can help you bond, a lot of things that can, help you come to a place where you create reconnection. Because if you don't do that constantly, you burn out, then you eventually fall apart emotionally, and you don't want that to happen in your relationship. So you need to understand what those things are that help you to connect emotionally, and ensure that you are doing those things regularly. If it is talking, if it is
discussing a book that you're reading together, if it is just throwing banters at one another, just ensure that whatever it is that keeps you emotionally connected, that line is not broken, but that you keep investing in that, line of strength, your emotional, because it's important. It's something you can't live with. You need to continue. One of the ways I feel that I connect emotionally with my husband, is to find something to criticize about. Maybe you did not Kukuma do this well. Maybe you did not. That will get us talking about many different things at the end of the day. At the end of the day, this morning he said, Shebi, you have joined the gang of not looking for your husband. I said, sorry. When he continued talking and talking and talking, I said, hey, Shebi, Kukuma have said sorry now. What else am I going to say after that? Things like that. It looks like, this woman is looking for trouble, but that keeps me going.
Yeah.
Those are the things that
Wow.
keep me going.
Wow.
What keeps you going? What is your emotional bank? What fuels it? And ensure that you keep feeling that, not with somebody else, but with your spouse all the time. Because if you go out and find solace in somebody's conversation, right? I know that at some point in my marital journey, I had a friend who would talk to me and talk to me and talk to me and talk to me. And I'll say, have you discussed these things with your wife? He said, but she's not that kind of person now. Because he's getting his emotional feel from somebody else. You don't want to have that from somebody else. You want to have that from your spouse. That is where that connection comes. And that is why that connection stays strong at all times.
Wow, 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 wow. Very, very apt. And, I'm going to ask Praise to also speak on it. Let your spouse be your first dial on any matter. It will help. And I'm just scared for people that they are even living together right now and they are finding it difficult to express how they feel with a spouse, with a partner. As in right now, we are living together, we can't even express how we feel. You now live apart. That's danger. Praise, what do you have to say to this? What would you like to add?
Again, I'm going to go in the direction of support system. I am a stickler for don't lose your friends, values-based friend, even after marriage, right? Because they will keep you in check, especially when those friends are also big fans to your spouse, right? And so sometimes those things can't reach me. Maybe my phone is on silence, immediately she's calling my cousin. My cousin lives like 40 minutes. One day my cousin was already on his way to my house to say, what's happening? TPF is trying to reach you and blah, 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 blah. You need that. I mean, a friend just left my place from Houston, right? My wife knows, we are like family, right? And so those, sometimes when your emotions can go volatile, that support system keeps you in, they can actually distract you from those kind of things, right? Because when I was single, for example, I had that kind of cluster of friends. Like my emotion was going away, I just called them and say, guys, red light, right? Emmanuel F. Young Bride would literally move in with me or move me to his place and things like that. And I also do the same for them. But the other thing I'll recommend as an exercise, I do that sometimes, is gratitude journal, right? If you can journal 3 things, sometimes 5 things you are grateful for about your spouse every night, right? It will change and it keeps you emotionally connected with them. I have my journal somewhere, right? So at the end of every day, or it could be in the morning, you focus solely on your spouse and because there's a tendency to begin to take one another for granted, right? Each other for granted, where you just say, what are they doing? I don't fool myself that, what is my wife doing? No, I know my children are a handful. So for them to even stay with her, sometimes when she has gotten to her neck, she calls me and say, come and deal with this, your children. And I'll have to call them to a meeting. And usually when I'm talking to my children, I'm explaining to them, what the sacrifice their mom and I are making, right? Because children need to know. Don't just let them feel that life is just a straight, everything they need will be made available. That you're literally dying for them to enjoy the life that they are living. So it's not automatic kind of, right? So gratitude journal helps to say 3 things I am grateful for about my spouse. You will notice that a lot of people, I mean, when I do this exercise with people, after like doing it for like 3 days, they can't remember what they are grateful for anymore. So I said, so since you can't remember, can you now intentionally do 3 acts of good to your spouse every day, so that at the end of the day, you have 3 things you are grateful for, and that keeps them on the radar, keeps you in check. And for me, be very, very open. If you don't have anything to hide, everywhere you go, let people know you're married. Let people know that, hey, your spouse is somewhere. So I'm hanging out with someone, I'm calling Tosin and say, oh, like when a friend came, I took him for lunch, and I was calling her, she was at work. I said, see who is in front of me. She didn't even know that the guy was with me and stuff like that, So it's that gratitude journal will help you. And like Tosin said, there are things you can do. You can see technology has made it very easy. You can maintain a movie night. You can see a movie together and discuss it, right? Very, very important. And so these are basic things that I think can help both of you. Yeah.
Thank you so very much. This has been a full episode. And that gratitude journal even resonated with me because if to share a personal, short, brief one, not long ago, my wife was saying that you're not connecting with me again. You're not connecting with me again. And I actually took myself through that therapy. And every day I said, really? I said, okay, I'll work on it. Then I didn't tell her. I just took myself through that therapy. And every day I pick a note and write and I thank her for something that she has done that day. There were days I found 2, 3, and I did it for a whole month. And then I put in a box, the box where people put rings and offer say, will you marry me? And after the 1 month, I just gave it to her. I said, I have a gift for you. And then my wife was reading each note. Wow. Before she got to the 30th note, tears were dropping because things that she didn't know that she was doing were all documented. And it helped me. It brought me back to what I used to do. So those things can help. Just be intentional about it. And we are talking about intentional couple today. So be intentional about it. And if you make up your mind to do it, you can actually make it work. Time is fast spent. I want to thank Team Forward for sharing their story with us, for spending this time with us. This has been worth the while. And I'm very, very sure there are many intending Japa people in the house. And so they have been equipped. They have tools to work with.
You are welcome. We're ready to welcome you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Praise. Thank you, Tosin. God bless you. Thank you for what you're doing for family. And thank you for what you're doing in the lives of so many people.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Okay, now, this is the final lap. I wish it would not go. I wish it would not end. So I'm going to ask TeamDinmaNedum to give their vote of, this is the final one. Are you sure we'll not do next week?
I'm serious.
Wow.
All right, over to you, TeamDinmaNedum.
Wow. This has been an amazing 5 weeks of learning, fun, excitement, reflections, bringing memorable moments, sharing our lives with you. And all this was possible because of you. If you are leaving DinmaNedum to be talking to themselves, it will not be as fun and enjoyable as it has been. All this happened because you choose so much time to spend with us in these 5 weeks. We are eternally grateful. We are thanking Tosin and Praise for where they have been in our lives for a couple of years, and we have also learned from them amazing things, and we are just adding up to what we used to do to just get better. And every time we are seeing opportunities of learning, we just want to improve on what we know and what we do, and that's one of our greatest strengths. To Juwon Odutayo, thank you so much for this marvelous anchoring. You make the whole thing fun. And as I was just looking, it's almost after now. I wish it was just 8 o'clock that we have one more time. So you did a very lovely job, and we are eternally grateful to you always. To our dear friend UD and Ifechukwu, UD we have known for I think more than close to 29 to 30 years of our lives, and more than 40 years knowing Dinma. That's especially UD. So it has been a very long, growing friendship, and we are doing things much more better than we were before, and we have hope that we do much better in years to come. And family have always been something there to us, and we believe we need to counter all the negative information, because life will not be lived in a vacuum. If we don't come out to speak, if we don't come out to show affection, if we don't come out to show what we are doing and it can be done right, how will the young people learn? I've had so much backlash in the sense, why are you showing up all the time doing this? No. We said, no, we can't be behind and watch things fall, and we just pray and we just get angry without doing something. So if you are behind the scene feeling, well, you want to be secret, while you are complaining publicly what is going out there, then you need to come out. You need to join the train to tell these young ones that marriage is sweet, marriage is beautiful, we can get it done. So let us not allow the negativity flying around to look as if it's the dominant expression. So we need to show up. And I want to say very, very frankly, prevention is always better than cure. Prevention is better than cure. And that's why we encourage for all those into that category that Dima is talking about, preparing for bliss. A lot of preparation will save you a lot. It will save you emotional wreck. It will save you spiritually, financially, every way that life can save you. Preparing for marriage can save you that. It is even the most minimal way to avoid deep troubled situations in life. And to everybody who have joined us consistently for over the 5 weeks, thank you for being there. Thank you for this amazing time together. Some of you have sent your congratulatory message in various mediums. We deeply appreciate you. Your prayers and wishes, we got them all, and we keep reading them, to savor that experience. This has been our most fulfilling time in this 20 years, spending this time with you all there. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for keep showing up every time we call upon you. We are so grateful. And we wish for those who are less than 20, you also have your amazing 20-year celebration. For those who are 20, we are looking up for the 25, 35, and 50. We bless that God will give us strength, will give us grace, that we keep rocking our kind of happiness in our relationship. Thank you to everyone that is there. We thank you so much, and God bless.
All right, people, it's a wrap. Thank you for always being there, and see you some other time. Enjoy this. Life has given us 20 years, and this is how far we've come in 20 years.